Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode we're going to be talking about Arizona Cardinals running back David Johnson in terms of his analytics profile. Now, the main reason I wanted to talk about him is because a couple of you guys left comments about why don't you do more mid-round running back types that became very successful. Because I think the NFL doesn't really get running backs right. Running backs that are successful don't have to be from Alabama. They don't have to be from a big-time school. They just have to have good athleticism and good production. And I wanted to profile a couple of running backs that fit that bill. You know, these are running backs that hit the production marks, they hit the athleticism marks they needed to hit. In some cases, they were tremendous athletes like David Johnson. But ultimately, the NFL didn't like them. They felt like they didn't play in a tough competition. Yeah, who knows? But we're going to go through David Johnson in terms of his analytics. Specifically, there are a couple things we're going to be talking about. Market share production data at the running back position is total offensive market share production, which essentially means you take the passing yardage and the rushing yardage, combine those, and then divide it by the team total yardage. So, for example, if a running back had 1,000 yards and a 4,000 yard offense, then that running back would have 25% total offensive market share production. You take that number, though, and you compare it to every single running back since the 1969 NFL draft class, and then boom, you have a statistical model. At the very least, you have a way to see, okay, how did all of the great running backs perform over the years, and how did this guy perform? And then we're also going to look at athleticism data. The big three main athleticism marks we're going to look at is explosiveness, which is the vertical and the broad jump measured against mass density, which is weight divided by height. We're going to look at the speed score, which is the 40-yard dash measured against mass density, which most of you guys are familiar with the weight-adjusted 40 stuff. It's pretty much the same thing. And then, of course, flexibility, which is the short shell / three cone measured against mass density. And we'll get into more of the sort of nuances of that kind of stuff when we get there. But the bottom line is David Johnson is a tremendous running back, and there were a lot of things pointing towards stardom from his data in college. So let's get to his data. So starting out with his market share production, when it comes to David Johnson, he had a 92.82 total offensive market share production score coming out of Northern Iowa. Keep in mind that this is from FCS competition, so it does diminish it a little bit. I'm going to do a video in the future about the differences between FCS production and FBS production. Typically, the thresholds are a bit higher at the FCS level than the FBS level when it comes to successful outcomes. However, a 92.82 production score in any place, FCS or FBS, is pointing towards good things. So that is the bottom line. Is he was very productive in terms of what he was at Northern Iowa in terms of production. And then when you get to his athleticism, which was even better, he had a 97.28 explosive lower body strength score, a 98.56 speed score, and a 88.92 flexibility score. All those marks are above average. All those marks hit the marks they need to hit in terms of special running back athleticism. And even so, similar to Jay, he compares very similar to as Steven Jackson as an athlete, but he's actually a much more explosive version of Steven Jackson based on his athleticism. So essentially, David Johnson is like Steven Jackson with much more explosiveness in terms of how he came out of college. So you look at all these marks. I'm just telling you this. If you are a GM and you look at this running back and you see, okay, this guy is more athletic than Steven Jackson. He has great production. Even though it is from the FCS level, it's great production. To where even though it is FCS level, it's still pretty dang good. And oh, by the way, like you look at all that stuff and you go, okay, I don't know about this guy. I'm just saying, like, some of this, it doesn't have to be hard. Data doesn't have to be hard, guys. If you're a GM and you look at all this information, you're going to go, let's draft this guy. And the fact is a lot of teams didn't do that. They decided, you know what, we don't trust the competition he was playing. We don't trust his athleticism, so let's just let him fall. And what happened? Well, David Johnson was, in fact, the top running back in the 2016 season when it came to market share production. He had a 98.68 overall score in 2016, which was the highest amongst all running backs last year, including Ezekiel Elliott, who was very close, but no dice. And in terms of his entire career, he's been fairly productive. So the bottom line is, when it comes to David Johnson, is you have to look beyond where a player plays and all this other sort of stuff, because based on data, it doesn't matter where you play. What matters is, did you produce? Were you athletic? And of course your film. I mean, film plays a role in everything. But I think in David Johnson's case, it's pretty clear when you look at his data, when you look at his athleticism, when you look at all that stuff, he comes out smelling pretty dang good when it comes to his overall status. Again, my name is James Coburn. You can find my work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.